And my doubt at the moment is this. I really doubt what is the actual influence of the coach and the teacher. I see, like, I've done CLA, people getting good. I've done classical, just technique, people doing good. Back in the day, where sometimes weeks, let's just roll for a few weeks, no teaching at all. Like when I was a purple belt, we still got better. Because in the end, I can teach my class, but it's ultimately, I think, what you are exploring during the free rolls what really matters. And I have guys in the gym who never follow a single class of mine, we're just the higher belts usually, because the joke is that purple belts don't like warm-ups. No, for me, the joke is that purple belts and higher just want to roll. And maybe that's a downside of conceptual, because I've taught concept for years, and maybe once people get the concepts, what is the value still in doing my classes and the technique? I don't know.
Welcome to Forever White Belt. I'm your host, Adolfo Fronda. Good to see all of you again. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a review, comment, buy our merch at fwb.printful.me. Drink your salt electrolytes. Use code FWB for 15% off. Buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Forever White Belt. My guest today is Wim Diputter, a black belt, 4th degree, from Belgium, known for his incredibly clear, concept-driven approach to jiu-jitsu. Instead of focusing on memorizing techniques, Wim teaches through principles, things like distance, connection, and control, the underlying ideas that actually make techniques work. And what I love about Wim's perspective is that it sits in that interesting space between sort of like traditional jiu-jitsu and some of the newer type of philosophies and training approaches, if you will. Wim, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Adolfo. Happy to be here.
Tell me about, Brasa, Belgium, right?
That's my academy, yes. Yeah. So yeah, well, I always say the same. Look, I started martial arts so about 26 years ago. And there was always, like most people, the classical stuff like judo I started with just in a local village. I was always grappling since very early, let's say, yeah. And then through the years, went from the one art to the other art. And I rolled into jiu-jitsu like everybody else around age 15 when the early UFCs started to make name. And now we're here.
Awesome, man. I'm curious, at what point in your journey did you stop chasing techniques and you start chasing understanding?
Honestly, it's probably something ingrained all the time, but I always say this for myself. Yeah? I was never really good in inventing techniques, let's say. I was always good at, I think, the people would teach me something, and I always would instinctively get a concept and be able to apply it from everywhere. And for me personally, the biggest improvements I always made for myself were always discovering new things my body could do. So nothing my body specifically, but just better understanding with my mechanics, better understanding myself, and through understanding myself, understanding the concept, the body of someone else also. So, for example, you have my favorite position, or the position I use the most. Not that it's my favorite, that just happened there to me the most, is half guard, and you have the coyote sweep, where you torque the knee of the partner. So, for example, I was pretty early on realized it's not about the sweep. Some people will think, I have to move the other person to that side. I'm thinking, no, just move the knee of the other person to the opposite side, and the body has to follow. They say where the head goes, the body follows, but it's nonsense. It's actually where every joint of the body goes, the body has to follow. It's just with your neck, you don't get a choice. That's the only thing.
Can you give me an aha moment?
Yes. 2 YouTube videos that influenced me a lot. The first one was this, you remember Budo Jake, onze BJ's
Yes.
So I will first tell a bit about my history, yes, and then I will get back to that, yeah. So first off, I had never really had a black belt coach in my life. So I started in Belgium, Japanese jiu-jitsu, and a friend, Ken van Gilbergen, who used to be a white belt but training himself somewhere else. And then he would come from his own gym where he would just teach the techniques he saw from that black belt. That was my exposure to jiu-jitsu. So pretty much the guy was using his teaching to improve himself. Long story short, so I never really had so I was taught by someone who was a very, his own admittance, a learner himself. Forever a white belt, that fits, yeah, I guess. So never had the real full picture, or maybe that back in those days, nobody really had the full picture. Today, everybody more or less has a mental framework or how jiu-jitsu has to be. As a coach, it means. But the sport was pretty much unexplored. So when I got, back in the day when Brazilians used to come over to teach seminars, we get always piece of the puzzle. It would be a seminar like knee bar, arm bar, a pass from there, like just a bunch of pieces of the puzzle. It was always like, amazing, we learned so much. But actually, you learn jack shit. And if everybody is bad, then every new idea disrupts the status quo. Let's say, since an early day as a kid, at 8 years old, I started training very early. I always had like an intuitive feeling of the sport. Not really. I just had a lot of grapple time already by my 15 or by my 19. But actually, was my career in jiu-jitsu really started to take off. So when I was 19, I already had like 11 years of grappling experience, although never precision jiu-jitsu. I was just like used to be in connection with people. So long story short, Ken, he used to stop. He told me at some point when I was a purple belt, man, I don't feel so good for the moment. Can you take over the gym for 3 months? Well, and the 3 months is still going on. that was 20 years ago. So then it changed a bit, of course, but now I have my own academy and my own space. So as a purple belt already, forced to explore my stuff myself and never really had anyone teaching me. So then I would go to seminars a lot. I never really watched videos except short things. And for example, one of the things that really improved me was the first one was a Budo Jake. And like every week they would someone have over, like they would have the Meows over, they would have Leandro Lo over. They would ask, Leandro Lo, can you teach your favorite technique? And he would teach something from De La Riva. And then they had the Meows, and they would teach something about Berimbolo's back take, always something fancy. And then at some point they had Rickson Gracie over. Yeah. So then Rickson, they ask, hey, Rickson, okay, look, man, I'm going to stand here. Jake, walk to me. And I'm going to walk to you. And you have to stop me. And he just walks through him. He says, man, look, you're a black belt. You can't even stop a grown-up man from walking you over. And then Rickson put his hands and put his weight forward. And then says, it's about weight distribution. And for me, that was amazing. Like, the biggest name, like one of the biggest heroes, who is unfortunately these days, the sad part a bit, like people these days in the sport don't really know what that guy did. But it's all fun and jiggles when it's about rolling in a gi for points. It's a different thing when people try to punch your face. There's a side of the world where there is no internet yet. That's also different.
Yeah, one of my favorite Budo Jake videos with Rickson was Budo Jake is mounted on Rickson, and he's showing him how to better do just the simple arm trap roll, right? From mount, he's underneath. And what he does, he just moves his head like so and looks a different direction, and it makes the roll like a million times easier. It was just so fascinating.
Yeah, and then there's just like you see like like a true master showing simple stuff. So okay, that's what it is. And then in those moments, I was teaching a lot of I'm still actually teach a lot of sports days to schools. They ask me for self-defense. Yeah, so that's like amazing. That's like the first self-defense thing ever. Like one of the things I always teach people the first time at kids, every single class ends with that, a proper handshake. Just how to shake a hand, because like I always say this is a joke, but it's not a joke. I have 3 daughters. At some point, the boy will end up on my door, shake my hand, I'm going to take out your daughter. And they give him one of those pancake handshakes. Yeah. He's going to turn around, and kick in the butt, and get back out. Yeah. And then if the guy goes like very tight, okay, maybe we can have I will squeeze back and see where we end up. But only that solid handshake, that's a person you can respect and trust. Well, the solid handshake feeling is what you should feel to the whole body. So Rickson calls it connection. I've never trained with Rickson. I've trained with people who trained with Rickson. And one of them was Chris Houghton. And he said okay, you get it. I said, cool, thanks. That's awesome. That's awesome. And I got a 45-minute roll with Chris Houghton at some point. And I was like, man, you really get it. That was awesome. Okay, and what did I get? I don't know what I get. But I always thought, okay, what does it mean with connection? Connection, okay, connect. And then over the years, for me, although I never had the direct contact, but it's like for me, it always a koan. The concept of a koan, yeah? Like in ancient Japan, they would give like the phrase to the student, and every year the students to come back and like, for example, what is the sound of one hand clapping? Yeah, something that's senseless at first sight, and the student to come back and give the answer. And every time they give the answer, it's wrong, because there is no true answer. The same with connection. Like how deep can you go in connection? Well, you can connect to your partner. You can connect to the moment. You can connect to yourself. What is the first connection to yourself? Well, what is the first act you do when you enter the world? Is probably a breath, like inhaling and exhaling. So it's such a deep rabbit hole of breath work. Yeah. And over the years, I realized, or I think I realized, that Rickson did not show on the video what it truly meant. Because they also teach always the concept of the middle. And what he showed in the video was, guy walks forward, you lean forward. But actually in the video, Rickson was out of balance. But I think he showed that just to make it visible for the audience. I think. This is my belief on that moment. The second aha moment was, Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
Actually, so Tim Ferriss video where he visits Marcelo Garcia. And when he talks to Joris Waitzkin, and the pretty much the point was you teach jiu-jitsu from end to the beginning. And it's such a deep concept because always, like, how do you learn a push-up? From end to beginning. You start by a plank. But what is the end really? Is it this or is it this phase? And depends where you start. So you can see the end. So you master the both extremes, and the connection in the middle you get for free. So whenever I teach, I don't really teach sequence that much. I teach grip fighting as a separate thing. You can do grip fight games. And I would tell, for example, you start there, try to achieve this and this. And then so for example, half guard, you can have like double underhooks, body lock be on the side. You try to achieve left or right. Okay, good. Then start earlier on, knee shield, for example, both hands in control, and the grip fight, get to the body lock. So, but the connection between the both, that's what's hard. Once, for me personally, because I'm a very control-based game, when I go slow, and that's why, so I believe if you experience the two goals, the in-between part, you find out yourself. That's the madness of it. Right? It's very hard to explain grip. You can explain grip fighting concept, but you cannot teach it and do 1, 2, and 3 because it's always alive. Yeah? That's the thing a bit. Yeah?
Well, that brings me to another sort of interesting point is like your teaching often sounds similar to ecological approaches early on. I think that's one of the things that sort of confused me about watching some of your early stuff. Do you see yourself in that camp? And what's your evolution of your, teaching philosophy?
I don't see myself as pure CLA, but I do see the value of it. I don't like to put myself in a box because I will explain it like this. Look, anytime people name something, you get 5 camps. Like it's a full spectrum. What are the camps? There's people who go extremely with the idea. You have people who go extremely against the idea. Then you have people who are a bit in favor, a bit against, and most people don't care about anything, because they just continue with their life. And that's always the thing. Look, if one camp is completely extreme about something, then at least I must think there is value in it. And the camp who's completely against it is always going to be wrong because they don't see the value. There's always something valuable. So it's definitely like, I don't see it as a mean to all ends. And I will tell you what my problem with it is. And I've been to a class with Greg Saunders recently. And again, I only explained Greg Saunders one time. Maybe he does it in different ways. But my problem with CLA at this moment is, how do you explain mechanics? Knowing for myself that all my developments come from learning my own body and learning to use my own body better, maybe I should also teach that. Then again, maybe the knowing your own body yourself better is something that happens through the years. I believe mechanics of my body are universal, but maybe they are not. Who knows? To be honest, I have more doubts than I have answers. Because like there is no such thing as picking up a handbook and now you're a teacher in jiu-jitsu. In fact, I used to study as a teacher in school, and they act like they have the handbook of being a teacher. And the people who always had good points when I was like good grades, when I was a physical education teacher, it was always like this. Now we step on the line. We take the ball in our both hands. We aim to the goal, we throw, and something like that. Like always talking to the letter. And I always had my own style of teaching. I wanted to be engaging, I wanted to be fun, I wanted to be like art myself. I see it like a stand-up comedy, you know, like you have your routine, you have your set, and it improves better. Even jokes in the set are important. It's important to have to use your humor, and over time, I think those jokes get better, or you get the right moment of saying things. So I always think like the way we were taught to teach in school before, or especially the way we were taught in also traditional martial arts, is very to the letter. Everybody on the line, everybody's strict. Right? These days with kids, I don't even tell them to go on lines anymore. They're into the gym themselves, they start running around, they do crazy. Guys, they come in, start running. Why they run? Just to get some order and do a little bit of warm-up to get mechanics in actually. So that's where I bounce. They can say whatever I like with the CLA. Some things I do not get to emerge by them. I find CLA, personally, it might be again my struggle, a personal thing. I find it easy to do it for very visible things. So open guard. For example, those games where you step 1 foot in, 2 feet out, the very visible things, yes. But I find it hard to constrain when it's very close. I don't know, man. Like most people these days, especially young guys, young competitors, they seem more to be open guard and more open start passing, more standing. And I've always been the guy like being very close and fight for millimeters. That's actually how I was taught it in the beginning. So for me, that's hard. Now, then again, from the flip side, I've never believed in drilling because there's like I did some earlier interviews where I talked specifically about being anti-drilling, and I literally lost students on that moment over that thing. They wanted to drill. So when I was showing technique, they wanted to drill their own thing, and now they're doing CLA. And now they're fully into that camp. So the extremists went from one extreme to the other extreme, and I always have my doubts about everything, yeah, which I think is healthy.
What kind of habits help someone still train into their like 40s, 50s, and
This can be answered in many layers. Sleep well. That's a point I struggle with, but sleep well. Eat perfect. Not like almost, but eat perfect. That means stop eating sugar. Like I eat every day the same thing. That means I eat 500 grams of skyr with a scoop of protein for the taste. Nuts, blueberries, then avocado, spinach, onion, garlic, carrots, bell pepper. Then 6 eggs, 200 grams of salmon. What else? Then 300 grams of sweet potato. And then as a dessert, some black chocolate. And if I eat something else, it's a pancake my mother makes, because sometimes she brings pancakes, and with honey. And that's about it. And do I sin? Yeah, I do sin sometimes in the weekend when I go with my family, we'll have like a pizza. But I have a pizza from an Italian restaurant, which I like, of like a family business and not going to Domino's or whatever it is. Yeah. And man, at this point, I live like it for the last 2-3 years. When I touch like a candy, I get a migraine. Like eat like 5 Skittles recently, migraine attack instantly. It's not even funny. 2 weeks ago, a guy brings like a box of pralines. I eat 5 pralines after dinner, and I felt like I was drunk. So then I say, oh, you should get used to it, or maybe not. It's like, man, you can even get if you eat rat poison every day a little bit. You also get immune to rat poison. Doesn't mean it's good for you. So that's it. To cover the basics. Then weightlifting, super important to do weightlifting. And we can discuss about what is the better program and the sets and this and this and this. So carry heavy things for your skeleton. My father is now 73 years old, yes? And he started jiu-jitsu 2 years ago. We just gave him his blue belt 2 days ago. He never did sports, only billiard, but always worked like in the gardens, and like maybe genetic or maybe it's because of that, but he's incredibly strong. And that keeps him, even though he's like arthritis in his knees and no more cartilage and that stuff, he's in pain, but it keeps him on the mat. So, brings to another thing, mental resilience. How do you train that? So I know this, right? I always have discussion with my guys. I never had a fight where I break. You see it when people roll and they get pushed under pressure, and the moment you notice, this is my latest rabbit hole actually. My latest rabbit hole is your head should never touch the floor unless it's your forehead. If you get punched in the face, it better be your forehead. If there's anything touching your face, and I use for me, the forehead is the most important frame because you always fight for inside space. But if I keep my chin to chest and head here and keep my back concave and like this, you don't have inside space because you need this to have chest connection. And since I play close, I'm using my head as a post all the time. Now think about this. Anytime you post your head on the floor, you have to frame is to bear weight. Your neck is not designed to put weight from the side. My neck is quite bad at the moment. Why? From failed shots a few times, I get like a stinger, and it's like one of the worst things you can do is just to your body. Yeah? For example, an arm bar, head on one side and arm twisted like that, and then rip it. You don't break your shoulder, you break your nerve. So that happened to me quite a few times, I guess.
Oof, yeah.
So my rabbit hole is not chin to chest all the time. And then, of course, in the lifting room, they have to do the opposite also to not become a hunchback for the rest of your days. Yeah. So those are the things outside. So super important. I don't even say fitness is not even a sport. Weightlifting, it's not a sport. It's like drinking water. It's not food. Just do it. You just have to do it. Yeah. Mental resilience. Otherwise, I like to do cold dips a lot. In the course of human history, we had days where we didn't have food for a while. We had to fast. We had days we had been cold. We have to experience it as human beings. The way I like to explain it also is, look, imagine, okay, there is good stress and bad stress. The bad stress is a stress every day you get, your mailbox. Oh no, a bill, all this. And now with email, we have this, like before it was once a day, or even though day of letters, it was like once a week a letter. Now it's in the mailbox, was like every 2 days lately. And now in email, it's constantly, every single moment, the government can send you a text bill or whatever. So it's constant fictive stress, because it's just invented stress with the numbers, yeah. So then, what is good stress? If you go into cold water, that's like primal stress. Fasting for the 3 days. Super important, yeah. Every once in a while. Primal stress. And then fighting, of course, is another primal stress. And so then we go into the habits of jiu-jitsu itself. Focus on defense a lot. But then with defense, I mean, initially it means, what does it actually mean, defense? Again, something that Rickson always talks about. Jiu-jitsu is about being comfortable and gradually taking people's comfort away. So then again, look, what is defense and offense? Well, you're attacking me once I'm not comfortable anymore. That's it. That's it. It's not about when you pass my legs. It's not when you mount me. It's not when you're on my back. It literally is when you can take my comfort away. In the context of a real fight at MMA, there are more tools like punches, biting, or eye gouging you can use to take comfort away. But in the simpler context of sports jiu-jitsu, it is literally this. Like, man, do you know in gymnastics, they have this the hollow hold? Lay on your back, chin to chest, and stretch your legs like that, like a shell. Yeah, they like this. So I came to believe recently that is the central thing of good posture. It's completely connected. The reason gymnastics are always starting with that. So we call it connection. How do gymnasts call it? Form tension. Form tension, not being tense, is actually dividing your tension over your whole body. Because if I tense up like this, I will tire my biceps. But if I tense up my whole body, connect my whole body, every fiber, I guess, carries a bit of the load, you're actually not that tired. So the thing is, look, when you roll slower, you always have the moment where you feel, okay, now, either one of us moves first, he will lose. And that's a moment where both are comfortable and fighting for the next step. And the only way to get past that point, I find, there are 3 ways. You wait till the guy acts first. That's usually how you beat lower experienced guys. They just make the move first and you take what they give for free. 2, they have to move first because of context, which is the time and the points. And even in gym, you can create that, because a guy you never could beat, but you could make him uncomfortable for like a week because he couldn't beat you, but now move more faster. So even without points, you can do that. So, and 3, it can be, can you make him uncomfortable? Yes, now he will act. And the comfortability can be both physical and mental. Because the mental part can be, you can shit talk. For example, you can, sometimes I always breathe calm. Like in yoga, pranayama, I see like, okay, the guy's not moving. I'm going to breathe extremely calm. He hears this. And subconsciously, Wim is breathing calm. Oh my God, he's calm and I'm not. And that picked it up. Yeah. And then they move. But of course, the best way to make someone uncomfortable is literally putting pressure on the artery because they have to act, or pushing the face away. Nobody likes to be pushed like that all the time. So what is jiu-jitsu actually? It's literally like this. You want to keep your central aligned posture. And the more you break people away from that shell, when they're in a guard, for example, the weaker the body gets. So from my perspective, there is no such thing as offense and defense, really. Defense, people think run away, escape. I never think escape. I think like this. You're in a position. What's your first thing you want to do? Stay where you are. Keep the status quo. And then gradually improve your position until you submit the person. Defense is just a perspective. It means if you're mounted, you're closer to losing than the guy on top is. But in fact, you're both fighting to maintain position first and then gradually progress and always improve until you can submit the person. It's just the mounted starts in the valley and the other one starts higher on top. But we're never really more than 5 steps away from completely switching the fight. So focus on connection, focus on being comfortable, and comfortable, really listening to your body. Because like I feel a bit turning my neck, okay, that's a signal. Comfort first. And then the funny thing at this point, man, like the more I focus on competition training, the worse I get. And the more I just close my eyes and treat it as meditation, the better I get. And like a few times in my life, I go to a competition and just everything aligns, like the flow state, as I call it. It's real. It's real. I only experienced it truly twice, truly. But when it happens, man, it's like magic. And that makes me believe there's like some deeper things in the universe. And every once in a while they align, yeah. That's the thing, yeah. And then focus on very close positions and type. So people always fight to impose their game, yes? So if you, for example, your game is the Arriva, and people know that, they will fight tooth and nail to not to go there. There's only one guard people freely walk into, and that is half guard. It's not that I want to fight half guard, but it just always happens that people put their leg between my legs, always on the same side even. Don't even have to fight for it. And lastly, people will fight for submissions, and people will fight for back control. So you cannot give a pass because people will score, but the closest to a pass you can give with what I want is half guard. And you can give back exposure, that's fine. You cannot just not give a hook. You can give a hook, you cannot give two, you cannot give the choke. So very often when I'm in the gym fighting with people who are very feisty and aggressive, I will just turn my back. And once you're on your back, the back is a very good frame compared to your face. They will slow down and then you can gradually wire them out. And that's pretty much it.
I want to ask you about beginners. I'm a day one white belt. I walk into Brasa. What am I going to experience maybe?
So first off, most people who walk into a gym the first time are quite anxious about it. You're going to meet new people and it's a martial art, yeah? So everything I do is meant to make people calm in the beginning. So for example, people on my website, they have to register for, they don't have to register for a free trial, but it's like a link, send an email, and I always reply with a standard email, but I send myself. It's a copy paste, but I send myself. I always say the same, okay, look, thanks a lot for your interest in our academy. You're most welcome to join for a training. When would you like to join for a free trial? If you have any questions, always feel free to ask. Best regards. Then you get a reply. And very standard, you get like a reply. It's my first time, blah, blah, blah. This. I always say, look, man, we all were there. We all were beginners at some point. Don't worry, we will be the only beginner. Always like make people at ease. And I walk through the door. So like I said, I have 3 daughters and my wife made sure the kids can play there. There's always kids running around. So the first thing you will see, we don't have dark colors. We have like very vibrant. You can actually see my gym on my website, but like it's very vibrant. And so there's like and there's kids' toys and everything. And also, for example, people come, coffee is always for free. We always give like, you want a coffee? Like if it's in the morning class, hey, everyone drink a coffee, we start a bit later, drink a coffee together, that's cool. Then the class starts. I always make sure that we borrow people, if it's gi, we borrow a gi for the first time. I have like travel gis, lighter, so they can be washed easier. Imagine you go into a room and you don't have a gi. So then you already feel like the odd one out a little bit. And the gis I borrow are always like blue, yellow. So everybody knows who the beginners are also, important. Like imagine it's like no gi the first time or whatever, and very often people come without pants, like with shorts. And and many people like scratch their knees at the beginning. So then your knee is open and you know, I'm gonna let it heal for 2 weeks, now you don't come back. So everything is like geared towards making it more comfortable. Then I try to the best of my ability so that people experience the whole of jiu-jitsu in the first class in general. I want to, as much, not always, because sometimes you have to go into more specific topics, but at least the fundamental class, it's more like experience everything. So if you do it about CLA, like it's like CLA is like little by little do less constraints. To the point, like in the past, I always had to explain people, this is jiu-jitsu, blah, 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 pass guard, blah, 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 blah. Now, these days, the free rules always have the kinds like constraint-based games, sometimes a bit of technique, and the latter part is have all the kinds like 45 minutes to an hour free rules. So I don't say rules for free. I will say, okay, for the last part of the class, you're going to do the rounds, and you're going to start with making a connection. Once you made a connection, you're going to bring the fight to the floor. You can bring the fight to the floor either by throwing your partner or by sitting down yourself. Once you're on the floor, then I use a bit actually quick sound to explain. Like get past the legs, get to the center, isolate the limb, and make him tap, or vice versa. But most importantly, make sure you feel always comfortable. And then I see how, like I always try to have at least one round. I always have a round with each beginner the first time. Because usually we have like max 2 or 3 beginners per class, and then I can manage it, and then I see how they act.
Interesting.
Some people are more well, it's a reason for that because first off, It's a few reasons why I want to roll with the beginner. First off, it's self-defense. Because the beginner you're going to experience is the reaction you're going to get from the guy on the street. They're not going to be controlled. They're going to be quiet, spazzy. They're going to be flailing around. That's number one. Two, even the black belt in competition, who is points behind in the last seconds of the match, will act like a complete beginner. They will have more method to their madness, but they will go completely berserk.
Yeah, totally.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. If I'm losing, you never break. You fight till the end. You either lose a fight by tapping, you lose a fight because you got tapped, or you lose a fight because you lost some points, but you always have to puke because you're tired. That's my, because you make him tired, because maybe he has to remember you, or you give it your all, maybe you still win, and maybe your teammate is to fight him in the next round. So all good reasons to insist till the very end. Yeah. So then next, when I do my role, I see when they're very feisty these days, I will sometimes, most of the time, I will give my back. And then experience doesn't mean anything, or fight for the takedown, because many people come to the gym, I want to fight on the ground, but I think this is such like a waste, because in many ways jiu-jitsu at its core is better in stand-up than wrestling than wrestling and judo is, not by design, but because we can take our time. So no, it's wrong to say that both jiu-jitsu guys are better in stand-up, but to be honest, how good is judo these days in stand-up? The core game itself is good, but you have to be a freaking monster to throw people. The times if I roll with a judo guy, when they throw me, they're literally smacking my head to the floor. So they don't take their time anymore. And in wrestling, wrestlers are much more smooth with their approach. They don't hurt you, good wrestlers. But look at this. If you look at who are the best wrestlers in the world, arguably the Dagestanis. Look at the Dagestanis fighting in Olympics. They have a very explosive, constantly moving game. But the same Dagestanis in UFC, what do? They lock up position, keep super tight, and then throw once when everything is there. So then we have to conclude it's just the rule set that tells it. Grappling is more close to MMA than it is to wrestling for the purpose of throwing. So I do that. So they also experience the stand-up game. But at some point, I like to give like my back or something to show them good defense, calmness, and then go to mount. And when they start to flail around and spaz and go crazy, like, man, calm down. Why? What? Calm down. And then you usually get to the point, but don't feel calm. Okay, stop. Where do you want to be? Where would you like to be? I would like to be on top. Okay, you get to be on top. Take the position you like. They sometimes take a near arm bar or on my back or on the mount, doesn't matter. Okay, are you happy where you are? Yes. Ready? Go. And the moment you say go, they move straight away. So man, look, you just told me you were happy where you were, and you moved straight away. It means you were not happy. So take whatever you want to have. Take as close to submission as you like. And I give it, and I still go all crazy. So man, okay, look. And then I say, look, okay, now go on top in mount, and just immobilize me. Do not let me move. Just focus on not letting me move. And then that's when you get connection. Because then they realize what it's ultimately about. It's about immobilization. Lastly, what I always end in the end is this. I always end with a solid handshake. And it's a bit I cannot make you feel, but you can make feel connection by what is a solid handshake means good structure. So, but I just give a solid hand and I tell them, look, feel the squeeze. Okay, look, that's a sweep. That's a sweep. Okay, sweep my hand. They can't. Okay, I will sweep you. Sweep me. And then push. Whop. Then push back. Now I'm there. And they're the same in that direction. And then right away they understand the game of jiu-jitsu. Because in jiu-jitsu, it's about three things. It's about you have to have your connections. You have to get your posture just right. And the last part you always need in a position is always comes from your partner. It's he who shifts weight. It's always about the middle. Like for a sweep, get directly underneath them, get your grip, get everything there. I always breathe in, breathe out, squeeze more, breathe in, keep what I have, breathe out, squeeze more. And when they react to the uncomfortableness or the subjective uncomfortableness, they will move away. And initially, when they sweep themselves, I fight back against the sweep. Because the moment the butt touches the floor, that's when they run away. So to sweep younger guys, actually, when you start to always keep the middle, when you're underneath, they try to get away from you, they'll get back underneath. Like fight your own sweep. To the point they run away more, and then they pull you basically up. The perfect sweep is there, where the person just rolls on the bottom and with perfect action roll on top. Not really realistic in a real fight, but you have to I get close to that. Yeah, I find.
So, Vim, what does a bad class look like to you?
I just had one today when my progress is bad. I always prepare my class in the sense that I know what I'm going to teach and I know what I want to achieve. What went wrong today was my personal expectation of what I wanted to achieve with the group did not align with the group. So it was my fault, man. So that is actually a bad class. A bad class is whenever you have your plan, what you want to achieve, and then the group doesn't react well to it, and you keep to your first plan. But my personal failure as a coach is probably this, that I'm probably, or the hard thing for me to know is when to go to the next topic, because it's never perfect. So how close to perfection have to be before you go to the next topic? And do we
Great
still,
point.
and it's incredibly hard to say because, look, I find jiu-jitsu is experienced in the depth. I believe in the universe. There are deep underlying principles. No matter what you do, you will come to the same conclusions. You can be a pianist, you can be a painter, you can be jiu-jitsu guy, you can do any field. If you take it to the center, to the core, and become meditative about it, you reach certain underlying universal principles. Balance, connection, the middle, I don't like. Probably one deeper underlying master rule. That's what people call God, I guess. We cannot really explain that, yeah. But in jiu-jitsu, like if you understand the idea in every position and understand one position completely perfect, you know everything. At this point, people cannot put me in a position where I don't know what to do. I have less affinity with it. My body mechanics might be, but like put me there. That's it. Connect and then start to feel. And in that sense, everything is the same. The only difference between different positions is the different points of connection. Like honestly, look at the core. Because I like Craig Sauder's approach, where it's just like it's about getting past the periphery, the hands and the feet, to get to the center of this thing.
Center mass,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately it's about one thing, two things: kujushi and tsukuri. Kujushi means to disrupt, and tsukuri to build. Keep yourself in a strong state while disrupting your opponent's state. That's it. That's it. And that is for me martial arts. Yeah, there is the martial sports we want to win at all costs, pretty much, except injury. And there is the self-defense where you want to not lose at all costs, except preferably injury, especially to you and preferably also to your adversary. And then there is the art. And in the art, do I really want to beat you in the art? In the art, you just want to create beauty in the moment. Feel beauty as the experiencer in the role, but you cannot create beauty alone. But actually, you can actually create beauty in the moment for yourself alone. But the best roles are, like, I had a good role with my friend Felipe Costa, who came to give a seminar 2 days ago. And we start rolling, the timer beeps, hey, let's continue. 30-minute roll. Nobody taps. And what we had, like every single time, I outweigh him by what? 20 kilos? And I'm about 6 years younger, which is still not bad. And every time when we get somewhere almost there, you don't get the last part. And the same for me. You get one hook, you get a choke nearly, but not the last part. And that is the beauty of it. And to the point even, you don't really want to finish the round. I believe like the moment you start a roll, you create a pocket universe between two people. And the moment the roll stops, it's the end of the universe. My best rolls ever were with Felipe now, with Chris Houter, non-stop 45 minutes where you try to get each other, but try to get each other technically. You do not want to use any force, don't want to exert yourself. It's just chess from beginning to end. That's it. And in chess, you're not allowed to do two moves at once. The same, it's like a turn-based game at that moment. And the same with Octavio Couto, Rachinho. Yeah, he unfortunately passed away 2 years ago, which was very sad. But that's like the three most inspiring people, and very, very rare to get rounds like that. But when they hit, they hit. Yeah.
So, Vim, how should hobbyists approach rolling differently than competitors?
Maybe they shouldn't approach it differently. I don't know. Like for me, it's meditation at this point, and I've treated it like this for a very long time. Now I'm also not the very best competitor in the world. I think I'm a good competitor. I think I'm a good competitor in the field I was exposed to.
So, what are you thinking about when you roll then?
Nothing. I try to do nothing. Like I'll look. It's like having a conversation. Yeah. If I know what I'm gonna say up front, It's like look at politicians. Politicians are a good example. Look at presidential debates. What do? They already have what they're gonna say, blah 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 blah. And whenever it's the next guy to talk, they're gonna talk over him and scream, "Let the guy talk." That's called a monologue. It's not a conversation. In a conversation or in an argument, you have to be willing to be wrong for two reasons. You have to be willing to be wrong because that's the only way to push the argument to the very end, and also to learn something. And if I have to use physical strength and a blast in a technical role, it's like shouting. Now, I may convince a person with less composure with shouting, but I was not right. So, for example, in a role, whenever I have to use in a role on training, if I have to use like a bar or a bar, like on all those neutral moments where you feel you move first, you lose. It's a technical round, I will not do that. I'd rather have you pass my guard and not let you show. Because ultimately, when you blast, it means, oh my God, I got you. Even if you didn't get him point-wise or guard pass-wise or submission-wise, you still got him. You got him. You got under his skin. They cannot get under my skin. And especially as a coach is important because, like, especially as the main black belt in the gym, it's like if not composure, what else are we teaching people? Like, what is self-defense? It's composure it's composure to the extreme. Most of the time, you get into problem because you lose composure in two ways. People can lose composure in the left side, where they go, someone bullies you, oh, no, please don't hit me. We're like, what the fuck is your problem? That's composure. It's like, no, be in a wall, be in the middle. Yeah. So, amateur, okay. Maybe it's more about what part of the game you're in. As a beginner, maybe experience everything a bit, so you get used to the whole game. And then either willing or not, as a competitor, you will get your niche thing you're into. You perform better, and then focus on that. So, and then in the end, as a competitor, I think you should have impeccable defense everywhere. Be unsubmittable, be unpinnable, and then have enough knowledge of everywhere to get to your center of the game. And as a beginner, most if not, because as a competitor, I will sometimes break my own comfort. Like I also have competition training in the gym once a week, where you don't give an inch and where you exert yourself in order not to give points. Sometimes it's definitely an aspect. Also, good for self-defense in some ways, because in the street there might be situations where I have to get out quick. But for the most part, just be comfortable all the time. And what I tell people is a very important constraint in the gym, and we really lowered injuries a lot after that, is whenever you throw someone, don't kick away the weight-bearing post. If you do Supagari, guy standing on one leg, you kick his leg away, it'll be a very rough fall for one of the two, because you also have to carry the guy's weight. And secondly, make throws without sound. And just overall, when you roll, try to make as least sound as possible. And the idea came to me during the summer last year. That was like some guys doing parkour. No parkour, when I jump on things. And there were like 3 real good guys and 2 beginners. And I noticed that the experts, they don't make any sound. They're like ninjas. And the beginners make everything sound rough. And I was like, yeah, that's what it is. It's about economy of energy, not wasting energy. And sound is like energy. It's transfer of energy. Otherwise, it would not be sound. So the more sound there is, the more waste of energy there is. And also the more danger, because always impact that kills.
So do you think the average black belt actually understands jiu-jitsu deeply?
No, not really. But maybe Rickson would say the same about me. The average black belt does not understand jiu-jitsu in the way I do. But I also don't understand jiu-jitsu because it's very personal. So actually, my presentation might sound cocky, but that's actually what I mean. I think my version is very good. I can say what is the pros and the cons of my version. My pro is you can run long, you have longevity, you enjoy the art for the art what it is. I was never a competitor. I just turned out to be a competitor, but I was never behind the competitiveness as a kid. It just happened.
Yeah, Vim should know he's got a ton of competitions under his belt.
Yeah, and why? Why do I have competition? Because I like it every day. Look, and it sounds like I also look back in the day. Also, like this week, I fight a kid. I lost to him actually this time. But he says like, "Ah, man, why do you still compete? What do you still have to prove?" But I really hate when people say that, because What do you still have to prove? Like it was ever about proving things. Yeah, at some point it started like that. I did MMA to prove things. I was bullied as a kid and I was never good at anything. That was like the first thing I was actually had some semblance of being good. And for the biggest part, I did it to show to everybody else what I was capable of. But it was
It's a
also,
very common story. Yeah.
yeah, man, that's what everybody starts with. Like, but in the end, like, why do you start with anything? Why people start to play music as an instrument? To show off? To get the girls? Why do you start with? It's always in a way to show off anything you do. So it's always starts from ego, always. And then in the end, it becomes about being egoless in the moment, but it's still about ego, because if you don't have ego, you don't do the best thing for yourself, you don't have the best thing for yourself, then you're less capable of helping others. So yeah, I always say jokingly, in jiu-jitsu I have so much ego, you want to be perfect in every moment, and that makes it egoless. A paradox, yeah. The way Bruce Lee says it, martial art is ultimately expression of yourself. And as a broader sense, your gym is also an expression of yourself, and your friends and everything you do in life and how you behave, everything is an expression of yourself. If I have a calm rule and I have meditative rules, I go home calmer. And sometimes you have that guy that doesn't want to tap and keeps his arm bent and has a lot of strength and doesn't want to give in. And I had those moments, and then you can be like, I want to have him, guy. Like, hey, such a rip and tear, and emotionally you carry it home with you. I had it many times in the past. And you don't feel calmer. Your nervous system is up. Just treat it as a role. I don't think many people understand the depthness of that. And as a gym owner, there's also those guys. Like, I think you can be a black belt coach with a gym. We can do it for different reasons. We can do it for money. I just do it because I love the sport. But for me, it was always, I want to do martial arts the rest of my life. And then people say, oh, it's not possible. You will see. Once you go to high school, it will not be possible. Then my teachers, you always sleep in the class. Why? Oh, because I train all day and then I go to school. Yeah, maybe make a choice. Maybe you should know what you want in life. Okay, I want to do martial arts. And then wait till you have a girlfriend, wait till you're married, wait till you have children, wait this. But I realized the only way a woman is ever going to accept that you're going to roll with your buddies every night is if you make it your job. And then slowly that happens.
Wim, what's one thing that you've changed your mind about recently when it comes to jiu-jitsu?
Two things. First off, the importance of grip fight. I realized lately that I cannot pass the guards anymore of my best students. Yeah, that's normal, because it's very hard to pass guards, because guard is also something very artificial. What is a guard? In reality, a guard is when I punch your face, or I could maybe potentially punch your face. But in guard, if I keep my forehead or my big toe in between the two, what is on the guard pass? Okay. But I mean, the key difference is the grip fight. I know every position that I got better in didn't successfully is because I didn't respect the grip fight. I didn't take the time to settle into the position, beat the grips, and go in. So that's my focus point for the moment. And my doubt at the moment is this. I really doubt what is the actual influence of the coach and the teacher. That is because, man, I see, like, I've done CLA, people getting good. I've done classical, just technique, people doing good. Back in the day, where sometimes weeks, let's just roll for a few weeks, no teaching at all. Like when I was a purple belt, we still got better. Because in the end, I can teach my class, but it's ultimately, I think, what you are exploring during the free rolls what really matters. And I have guys in the gym who never follow a single class of mine, with just the higher belts usually, because the joke is that purple belts don't like warm-ups. No, for me, the joke is that purple belts and higher just want to roll. And maybe that's a downside of conceptual, because I've taught concept for years, and maybe once people get the concepts, what is the value still in doing my classes and the technique? I don't know. And it was a while I really got pissed about it, but ultimately you get pissed about it because everybody likes to sniff of their own farts. So you just, maybe you should just let people explore, yeah, because that's what I did, and why should I take that away from other people?
That's interesting. I'll call it like that I'm not teaching a class. I'll say I'm facilitating a class. You know what I mean?
Yes, true. But it's very, very hard to do it for a group of people with different goals, different stages in life. Like, for example, the question is this, like a coach like Danaher was, of course, obviously very successful. But then the question is, what was his influence in the success? Like, if you have at some point in the gym 3 mainstream guys, then more good people flock to that. And then, of course, if you have a detailed guy, like if I would teach like him, like Danner in the gym, I would lose half of the people. But if like those dedicated 3 guys who compete very well and are actually like dedicated to listen to it all the time and want to put in the hours and hours of work, that works. And attract more people. And ultimately, I believe it's about the quality of the room. I feel people now these days get much better faster because they have better training partners to roll with. So maybe I also believe, like, you know, the theory of 101 monkeys. The idea is no progress happens, but then at like one monkey more, and now progress happens. And there's also the thing like you have 10 monkeys on this island, 10 monkeys on that island, and for ages they start to grab ants with their fingers, and then one monkey on one island puts a stick, and now all monkeys around the planet do the same thing. So I think it's something, I don't know, man, telepathic in the brain or whatever it is. But the moment one person in the room knows it, the whole room will know it eventually. And it even goes deeper, man. I've like my friend Francesco Fonte from Frankfurt. Sometimes I have an idea and I post it, and then, hey man, I just had the same idea at the same moment. It's like, okay, maybe there is something about telepathy, yeah, because like it's very strange. It's very strange. Once the idea is out there, it's out there.
I'm curious, like, how do you avoid becoming like dogmatic once you're seen as the authority of your gym?
I don't think I'm at the authority because my students put me in doubt all the time. Like some
Yeah.
some students not joining my class and still having good results. That puts you a bit there. Or
Yeah,
else,
yeah.
dogmatic. Also, like every single year, I say now I understand jiu-jitsu. I always say right now I really believe I understand jiu-jitsu. I really believe so. But I thought the same last year and the year before, and it's been non-stop since I was a blue belt. So that's it. You just realize you don't know anything. It's a crazy ride, honestly. For me personally, I think it's very rare, very very rare to have people pursue one thing in life for a whole life and do a deep dive. And it's maybe it's good, but it's like sad also because I don't know. I missed up probably a lot of things. But then what I miss really all about? I don't know. I also experienced, if you really experience the depth of something, it's very valuable. Because I can really appreciate the depth. I can, for example, talk to a guy who's a drummer for 3 hours, and I don't know anything about drumming, but the same appreciation for the art. And at the same time, because I know how deep I go into things, and I still doubt myself, it makes me doubt anything. Like, and what I know in the art very well is like the people who are dogmatic are usually the ones who know less. The dogmatic people, is, for example, the Japanese jiu-jitsu guys, and the stereotype is always this like, yeah, the higher you grade, the bigger you get. Because there's always like, you know, those guys with like red, white, being huge and always talking, but never really doing the art.
Can you give me some underrated grapplers?
Not underrated, but like for me, one of my best examples was Teles.
Yes.
He's not underrated because he's highly respected. And I actually had this year the honor.
Tellez is a name that doesn't come up enough, I feel. So you could say Braulio too. You know, he doesn't come up enough also.
Yeah.
So
for me, Teles, man, the funny thing is 3 months ago I had my first round with Teles. I just met, he's been from Brazil since day one, like before me. And he's just in Portugal. We happened to be there at a 6-minute roll. But like,
wow.
I'm rarely starstruck, but it's like, man, I told him, like, look, I've been looking for my whole life for it. It's like, okay.
Super totally.
Super, like, it's like the first time it's like a fanboy, for me.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Same.
And then after I started watching some of his DVDs, and in hindsight, man, his whole game is exactly what I do today. But I learned by myself. And then, like, I cannot say, I will not be as cocky to say that I do everything he does. But the things I do probably has deeper things because he's like doing years longer than me. But that's the thing. Like that's for me. That's the guy for longevity. And if you see how he speaks, man, like I only had the experience of even seeing him for 1 hour and talk, but he seems like generally a good person, like generally a very good guy. But then other people, I like Chris Houter, the role I had with him. That was amazing. Felipe Costa is amazing. Like he's known in the world. And the sad part is this, man. In 5 years, like if as the young kids these days, they don't remember Rickson, they don't remember Rickson Gracie, and they won't remember Gordon Ryan 5 years from now. That's the sad part. Yeah. So in the end, every legend will be some story like this.
Right, right. I rarely hear about Kit Dale in the eco conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because oh man, it's a funny. You know why? Because he didn't put a name on it.
It's like goes back to your whole naming technique conversation.
I don't name techniques for a very look. I taught some classes at some point. I taught classes and I gave a certain concept. And other people would give a seminar about that concept. The class gets filmed and they give their own name to the thing. And still reference me, but in the end, they became known for the thing. That's how it works. You have to be controversial and name things. But then I'm thinking, I never want to play that game. I'm thinking, okay, the Gracies invented the word guard, or at least not really word, but like in the art at least. Imagine they get offended every time someone uses the word guard in a technique because we're all living from their concepts. So we should not be married to our ideas and our concepts and be open about it. And at the same time, I don't want to play the game where I have to be controversial or find a fancy name to do things. So I did the mirroring principle at some point, yes. It was my belief, and now it's my belief it's wrong. And it's sad, but it's also good. So in jiu-jitsu, if you mirror, the mirroring thing for me was more about distance. But now I find, you should say, the guy moves away, you move away. Yes. But if you're connected and the guy moves away, you have to connect more by getting hip underneath. So the word now is always connection. You should always look for connection.
That's funny because I was just about to ask you if you had to give one principle that would improve anyone's jiu-jitsu immediately, what would it be?
Connection, but it's a very vague concept. It's easy to explain. It's very easy to make you feel. It's impossible to put into words because it has endless depth. But 101 I can teach it to you in 5 minutes. Not everyone, because some people are just too there are some damaged people out there who don't get it. But most people I found with normal capacity are able to get it. And what I mean with people who are unable to get it is like very people who have high fight or flight, like high cortisol levels, very stressful people. Imagine the people in a waiting room and they're sitting like this all the time. You know, those people, like nervous people, they will have a very hard time just to connect to another body in breath and in touch and not move. You cannot even sit still for 5 minutes when you're by yourself. How are you going to be sitting still when someone is touching you? So that's harder. But because most people who meet in the gym are actually well balanced. They just like the experience of being touched by another person closely and then trying to like gently murder each other. Yeah. So that puts some stress on the game. Yeah. That's it.
Can you tell me a time you wanted to quit or considered quitting and why?
I never wanted to quit. Never. Never. I had moments I didn't feel like going to the gym. But for me, like a few things, yeah. First off, I could never stand that I spent years of my life to something and then give up on something I did for so long. That's one. Then two, I could not stand the feeling of having someone I can beat today and then come back a year later and that guy would beat me. I cannot stand that feeling. So that's it. That's it. And also, what else am I gonna do? What else am I gonna do at this point? Yeah,
I love your honesty.
I mean, it's true. What else am I gonna do with my days? Like literally, as long as I can remember, my whole life was this: school, eat, train, sleep, repeat, as I say. And then it was party, train, sleep, repeat. And I always and I partied a lot, but I never let my party stop my training. And since I'm married now, it's kids, train, eat, sleep, repeat. Yeah, nothing changed.
Same.
And there always, you know what lately happened, man? Like, I always, for a while, I really hated going to competitions. I liked competing, but I didn't enjoy the act, the wasting my whole day there. But recently, I came to love it because it's like, man, people go to football games. Why do they go to football? Towards the game, I guess, and to talk to people, to be their friends. But before it was more like we see like other coaches with many animosity between different teams. But over the years, your opponents became your colleagues. And so now it's like really, man, we can like lean locally, like you lose a fight, hey man, good man, hey, had me there. It's like almost as training, but still with some realness to it. Yeah. So to be honest, man, maybe it's also because I'm getting older and because it's the same conversation as saying, why do you still compete? You don't have nothing to prove. I'm not trying to prove. I really freaking enjoy it. But people treat it like that also makes it easier for me to lose. I have no stress anymore almost when I compete these days. Save for the fact that it's gonna be physical, but like just the act of losing or winning says me less these days. It's just like fun right now to compete. Just fun.
Well, Wim, where can we get more information about you and everything that you're up to, man?
Just come to my gym or call me or let's speak person. That's the best way. Like just experience each other face to face or at least through camera and a conversation. But if not, I guess every once in a while we'll make the odd videos still. I would releases. Every year we have the camp in Crete. We have a BJ Camp Crete, which my friend Manolis. And I'm not there for the money. I'm just there because I pretty much pay my own flight. Just a vacation where I can meet new people and also teach. And so that's a good place to reach out. And everybody who comes to our gym, I always say the same. They can visit for free. They only have to give her a good review. That's it, and they can train for free. Instagram, I guess, but yeah. And probably I'll at some point still bring out a new BJJ Phonetics video. My title is gonna be the theory of everything. I already know the general concept, but I still have to put things. It can still take up to a year. The mental process can still have to take up to a year.
Well, everyone, thanks so much for your time. I'm your host, Adolfo Fronda. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all the things, as I mentioned. Get your salt electrolytes, buy our merchandise at www.printful.me. Buy me a cup of coffee, like I said before, buymeacoffee.com/forever white belt and all the things. So come train with us at North Bay Jiu-Jitsu in Novato, California. Also, go check out Wim's, all his videos, man. He's got some great content out there, whether you're purchasing it on Fanatics or YouTube and whatever it may be. So Wim, thank you so much for your time. I really greatly appreciate it. It was an honor to talk to you today.
It was a pleasure, Adolfo. I really appreciate that you asked me, and thank you for your time as well. It was a nice conversation.
Very cool. One last question. Aliens, real or no?
Definitely real. If they're on the Earth, I don't know. But out there, it would be weird if we're alone.
Yeah, agreed. All right, everyone. You got it. Wim said that. All right. Take care, everyone. See you guys next time.
Thank you, Karen. Bye-bye.